All right, ladies and gentlemen, code breakers around the world, wherever you may be. Another episode in the sex series. My name is Logan, gonna be your tour guide. This being the topic of the penis beast. This was the original one I had done, and I've already put out 2 other videos that came after this one, so kind of backtracking. And as I often say, put on a pair of headphones, block out the outside world. This is going to be a lot of fun. It will leave you very satisfied esoterically. It will give you a lot of perspectives, a lot of things to think about. Maybe not on the topic of sex, but for some of you, maybe you're going to get some tonight. So I don't know. Sex these days, as I said in my other video, it makes me kind of laugh. This is, kind of where I got started. And I have no idea how this came into my realm of being. I wasn't looking for it. I mean, it found me. I mean, who searches for a penis that looks like a mushroom or a mushroom that looks like a penis? I mean, I didn't. The phallus impudicus, which is like incognito. Not very incognito, though. It's known as the common stinkhorn because it smells really bad. And it's got a horn on it. And I thought this was funny because it reminded me of this decode that I did. Einhorn is Finkel. You remember this one, Ray Finkel, the kicker? She's a man. I don't know, is this where they got this from? Was this the joke? Einhorn? Stinkhorn? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Anyway, this one was a fun one. I just wanted to throw that in there. So let's get on to the very first topic now and get into Mars. And Mars has so much to do with the penis and sexuality and the phallus. And this is why you see these all over the world, because it is impregnating the cosmos with the energy of the earth. And Mars is your testosterone. It's your sex drive. Even if you're a woman and you don't have one of these, well, you still have Mars energy. So when you get horny, male or female, it's the Mars energy. That's really what it's all about. And this reminded me of SpaceX. I mean, what does that thing look like? Yeah, I mean, they're not making the rockets after mushrooms, I can tell you that. But I mean, what is the best trajectory to go up? What has the least penetration? No pun intended, maybe the pun intended. Penetration. What's the least resistance of a rocket? What's the least resistance of this rocket? I'm just being funny, folks. I hope you can just appreciate my ridiculous dry humor. But this is Occupy Mars because it's tied to the penis. It's tied to ejaculation. It's tied to fertilization. That's what this really kind of comes down to, right? So when we look at the origination of Mars being a Roman construct, it comes from Ares or Ares. So where you get Ares from, I would imagine, because Ares is the god that rules over the first house. It's interesting that the first house is your head. And this has a head on it. I don't want to get too sexual, but it's just ridiculous when you start to see these things. So yeah, Ares is the god of war, but it's the god of sex. It's the penis. I mean, even the logo of Mars is a penis. And so I started to chase this. I went here. Like, where's this going to go? This is how you code break. You just chase. And it leads you, and you go down the rabbit hole. You go down the rabbit hole. So I went and chased this word. There it is. Greece, of course, Greek. Come before the Romans. And I'm going to chase this. And here it is. Here's the etymology. This is what it ends up leading to. It ends up leading to mushroom. The legend has it the name was connected to the Greek word for mushroom. From this, from Aries, from the penis. It leads to mushroom, folks. Go do the research on this. This is what it led me to. And I highly doubt whoever's putting this in here is putting it in there because they're consciously thinking about this. I doubt it. But of course, Aries is the penis. And it looks like a mushroom. Yeah, folks, this is it, man. And it led me to this. So I'm just connecting the dots, man. And this has nothing to do with it, but it has everything to do with it because there's the mushroom cloud. Strontium. There is the 38 and 87 and the 38 and 87. This is about a nuclear fallout, but the connections are tied to the mushroom and the penis. Are you seeing this? This is the Jesus. This was the whole thing about the first one, the penis chromosome, and I got the penis and the cross, and then I got the penis beast. This is what it first started with here. So I even this dude right here, they had to include him in the taxonomy. The Italian naturalist Ulysses Allovandri. He described the fungus in 1560. What is his birthday? Describes this. What is his birthday? September 11th. I hope I remember this, but what happened on September 11th? There was an attack on the towers. What do the towers look like? Well, see, the key element here is September 11th was a Tuesday. And Tuesday is Mars Day. And it's just so fascinating that there's a penis right there, pointing upward for the element iron. And what needs to be inside of a penis for it to be up like that? Blood. A lot of it. And what's in blood? Iron. See the divine comedy in all this? I mean, I'm not saying that September 11th was divine comedy, but I'm saying that this iron in the blood and this symbol is a phallus. It's all sexuality because it is based on procreation. So let's get into the next topic now. Beast. The number of the beast. Go look on this. This is fascinating. Here is, it's Revelation 13 verses 18. The number of the beast, 600,366. So I went to the year 1318, plugged it into stellarium-web.org, and I went to February 12th. I did that because it's the Chinese New Year. And there's a reason why it's the wood horse. What happens when you get sexually aroused? Wood. Anyway, I decided to do it on the Chinese New Year. This turns into the wood horse. And look at where Mars is at. Mars is in Virgo. Virgo's the virgin. What happens when you have a penis coming into contact with a virgin? What's the possibility that could happen? See, I'm telling you, these are all clues, man. So, I went ahead, go to the Astro-Alchemical Cosmic Code chart. Human design integrated with true sidereal and the periodic table. And where is this location for Mars? It's going to be right there in gate number 29. Beyond what gate 29 means in human design, it's tied to the element copper, which is the element for Venus. Venus, penis, they rhyme. Venus is the planet of love. Mars is the penis. And the male to the female Venus. What is the number of the beast? That's why I have the beast here. Who's going to defeat the beast? See, there's a lot of correlations to the beast. Well, you see how the word phallus is a 29, and that matches and synchronizes with gate 29, which is exactly where that Mars position was. I couldn't get the Mastering the Zodiac chart because they only go back to 1900. But I could tell you that this placement right here is going to sit right there in this gate, right in the beginning of Virgo, right there. The gate 29, which is copper. And copper is not only tied to Jesus, but it's tied to Venus. Occupy Mars, the penis meeting the vagina. The beast, it's sex. Who can defeat it? That's why it's the number of a man. How do you create a man? Sex, procreation. When you look at these gates, and again, this is off of the year 1318, right? Gate 29 being occupied by Mars. There it is in the sacral, and the sacral is the genitalia. The penis. As fate would have it, like I know Ra, who created this system back in the 1980s, was not sitting down and thinking, well, phallus is 29, so I'm going to put gate 29 in the sacral where the genitalia are located. No. You could easily say, no, it's the root. That's the tailbone. That's down below. Phallus is tied to, even if you want to go in between there, it's tied to the genitalia, man. The ovaries, the testes, the sacral. And gate 29, and here's kind of the divine comedy, right? Gate 29 is the gate of perseverance. And it connects to, this is the comedy. It connects to gate 46. And gate 46 is tied to our DNA. I think I have it. I think I have this slide. I think I have it out of order, but yeah, our DNA. The nucleotides to our DNA, just come back up here. Gate 29, which is tied to phallus. If I go to numerology and I type in this, I type in double helix 46 DNA, that comes from nucleotides 46. This is tied to the eye of providence, which is the DNA. So the gate 29, the gate of perseverance, is tied to the phallus, and the phallus is tied to gate 46 to make that connecting channel to the self, and now you have the gate of determination. To have the perseverance to create an offspring. So this whole entire system is multifaceted. It's not just what they've given as definitions. It's what we can connect to with numerology to show you how scripted this reality is. This phallus being in the sign of Virgo, the virgin. This right here, being in the sign of the virgin. The phallus chasing after the virgin to give birth. This is how scripted this is, ladies and gentlemen. And then you bring the card charts into this to kind of really get some answers going on here. And we go to solar spread number 29. It is ruled by Venus. And we locate the 29th card, just simply synchronizing, and that connects to the 29th element, copper. It's the 3 of diamonds. 3 of diamonds in the tarot becomes the 3 of pentacles. This is card number 67. And it's the apprentice. And over here in the spirit side, to connect to that, it's the 26th card in the deck. Remember, this is the card, I'm glad I remembered, of this guy. He has the birthday of September 11th, which is the King of Clubs card. This guy was a naturalist to describe the stinkhorn. Well, then you go to the card charts, and now you have the 26 card sitting in space number 26 with card number 29. And now you have the element iron here. So we have the mastermind, the King of Wands from the King of Clubs, controlling the apprentice. to use the phallus to impregnate the venous energy and to create offspring. Iron being tied to the blood. Blood goes in the penis. It gets it erect, goes into the vagina, impregnates the female. The phallus is the apprentice. That's what all this stuff looks like, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. And it's just divine comedy. And then we add the master life spread to show you what happens. You get trapped. You just now trapped. If it ends up producing an offspring, you now bring in another player to go through pain and suffering. And the 8 of spades, which is my birth card, is tied to silver. And now you've just created a human being on the silver screen. Silver screen is Hollywood. You're in the movie. So this is what it looks like, the trifecta. Of all 3 of these, this is tied to the number of the beast. So I've called this the penis beast. This is what the storyboard looks like. And the alchemical output. You have iron, which is Mars. You have copper, which is Venus. You have the masculine and feminine right here, tied to the phallus, tied to where Mars was at in the year 1318, which is Revelation 13:18, which is the 666. The number of the beast is sex because it produces human beings. And it's in the virgin. It's in the 29th gate, which is copper, which is Venus. These connect. These connect. And then when you bring them all together, you have the masculine and feminine trapped on the silver screen. That's what you have. And when you add up the molar mass for these 3 elements, simply by looking and observing the word phallus and going to the number of the beast and looking at the astrological chart, it connects right back to Ra, 226. This is, folks, I'm telling you, this is how it works, and this is what it looks like. This is what it's telling us. Remember that the 226th word in the King James New Testament, starting from Matthew chapter 1, verses 1, going to Matthew chapter 1, verses 16, where it talks about Jesus being the 42nd generation, the 226th word is Christ. And 226 is radium, Ra. The beast on TV, man, even the 226th letter in the Torah is the Yod. There it is right there. We did this in the Tower of Ra, Decoded. The Yod being tied to Ra, Ra being tied to the beast, masculine and feminine, procreation. Let's get into the next topic now. And we're going to get into Beaver. Come on, man. Don't get mad at me for this stuff, man. You got to laugh. Right? Like, this is the joke. So I decided to look at the roaring lion. We posted this on the Patreon already. We're like, now we know what the devil is. It's sex. It's the penis and vagina. Well, 1 Peter 5 verses 8, where it talks about, be careful. You better be on the watch. Because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking to devour somebody. So isn't it fascinating that, because vagina is got to be the part of this where it connects with the penis. You got to have one with the other. And I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the freaking divine comedy on this? You bring the simple, now I know that Jamie Sams, who's dead now, who created the medicine cards with a couple other people, I know they weren't sitting down playing with Chaldean numerology and theology and says, you know what? Well, the mountain lion has to be the lion in 1 Peter 5 verses 8. And we're going to create that because I already know vagina is 17. No, come on, man. Really? The vagina becomes the lion, becomes the devil. This is why Eve was the one who bit the apple first. I'm not saying the story's true. The male chases the female. And ladies, don't get all upset when I say the vagina is the lion. That's just that's the way this looks through this example. The beast is both the penis and vagina. Procreation is the beast. And then, you get into this. You take the word penis. Oh, man. And you have the Beaver card, the master builder. Well, in nature, I mean, the 22 is tied to the Fool card as well. So it's totally the masculine and feminine. So what is the devil? Your sex drive. That's what it is, man. It's many things, obviously, but through this example in the Divine Comedy, it's the beaver and the lion. And this is so funny, ladies and gentlemen, because you know what this reminded me of? This show right here. Oh, man, I'm sweating. Leave it to the penis. So Jerry Matthews, and if you probably know what this show is. This is an old show. I used to watch it when I was a kid, man. You know, and why did they name the character Beaver? Well, I'm going to show you the Divine Comedy in this. Here is Jerry Matthews and his birth card. He was born on June 2nd. All right? He plays Beaver. His name was Theodore. Well, his birth card is the 41st card in the deck. I'm telling you, this is the Divine Comedy and the script playing out. What is the 41? It's tied to the freaking word womb in Hebrew. You know what this is? It's the vesica piscis, the beaver. It's the freaking vagina, the cosmic vagina. The beaver's tied to the cosmic vagina, which is tied to the penis. There it is, man. 41. 41 is tied to the word womb. This is where you're going to get the word matrix. And out pops reincarnation, the Christ. Jesus being the 42nd out of the lineage of Abraham to David. So let's back this up. This guy right here gets casted to play the character Beaver. And Beaver is tied to penis. And Beaver's another name for. But anyway, the penis is with the vagina, and it's the beaver and mountain lion tied to the devil. And this guy they cast to play Beaver has the 41st card in the deck, which is tied to the word womb, and the womb's tied to the vagina. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, all roads lead to Rome because the Vatican sits at 41 degrees north latitude. There's the word cross in Latin. There's the Y and T. Jesus is the Y chromosome. The chromosome to determine the sex. This is all tied to sex and procreation, sitting on that symbol of the letter T. And the letter T is going to represent duality. And when you get into, and this was part of the portals decode, you get into the 41s. Here it is, using the square root of 3. Square root of 3 is the vagina, the cosmic vagina, the portal. It's the beast system. And the beast system is tied to the masculine, feminine, the beaver, and the mountain lion. The penis and vagina. And this is what is really funny. You know, we as human beings, we have, and of course when we're not awake, when you're not awake and you're just going through life, we don't have this knowledge. What is leading you around? If you're single, right? And you go out with the boys or with the girls, why do you get all dressed up? Not everybody's going to do that. But if you're going to go out and try to impress, you're doing it to get some. We all are guilty of doing that. Then we go through different stages in our lives. And then we may put a movie on, and maybe you ladies like to watch the romance stuff. Why do you watch the romance stuff? Because you want to be romanced. This is the dream. This is tied to the beast system. So we went even further. 8 of spades. the prison card, my birth card. This is why I'm here to show you this. Part of the beast system. Trapped. Remember, if I come back up here, all the way back up here, you know that this is part of the silver screen. Tied to the beast. Tied to the phallus. This right here, it gets you trapped. You become a slave to sex and getting some and orgasms and oxytocin and maybe, just maybe, spirit gets trapped here. If there is a representative, an angel that's tied to you, and the representative, and it gets trapped here, it sends itself down. And this is the sons of God, and this is the Nephilim story, and the story of the sons of God mating with the women of earth. It has to go beyond that, though. We can't just stop there. 8 is the 8 blood types. You know? So let's keep going with this Leave It to Beaver. This show, to show you how scripted it is, right? It first aired on October 4th, 1957. October 4th, 5 of diamonds, card 31. If you watched my YouTube Decoded, it was broadcast yourself. It was tied to the 5 of diamonds. Well, that goes into the 69th card, another sexual remark. 69 is a sexual thing. It's the card of the yin yang. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'll back up right here. Remember this. The Vatican latitude north purposely sits on 41 degrees north. 41 is tied to the matrix and the womb, and it's Mary, the vessel. Mary is the prized possession in all of this. She's got a vagina. Tied to the beaver. This guy's got the vagina card. Come on. Remember this because of the fact that this card is tied to this organization. I'm going right to Latin in their own language and using the numerology, and this is the word to say that I'm Catholic. This is the only card in the tarot that has a church on it. Imagine that. Out of all the cards in the tarot, this is the only one with the church on it. And it's tied right to Catholicism. All roads lead to Rome. Obviously, this is tied to the beast system. You know, it's said that the Vatican controls all the birth certificates. I wonder why, if that's true. I wonder why that is. Why do you have to get a marriage certificate? Why do you got to do that? Why does it have to be in the state and the government and religion are all tied together? Why does that have to be a thing? Because it's got to be a document as you import yourself into the matrix. October 4th, 277th day of the year. This show first airs. Remember, the beaver tied to the beast. What's the 277 tied to? The 59, because 277 is the 59th prime number. And that's how many beads are in a rosary. And that's what the game of life is all about. This is reincarnation. Without question, that's what it means. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way. I want to be very clear, because people, when I say that, I'm not saying it's bad. It just is. This ties to, this is going to spell out the word prison. So let's back this up. Leave It to Beaver first airs on October 4th, which is the 277th day of the year. The card assigned to October 4th is the 69th card in the deck, and the 69th card in the deck links to the word Catholic in Latin from its original language. Are you seeing this? And then it goes to the 59th prime, which is the amount of beads in a rosary? This is tied to sex and procreation. And then on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, this scripture popped in. John 6 verses 53. And now you absolutely have the ironclad layer of evidence connecting why there are 6 large beads and 53 smaller beads because of this. And this organization is all about the Eucharist and the wine. And this is where you get Catholicism originating from Judaism. It's all Judaism, because this is where you're going to get the word Ark of the Covenant from. The covenant is the prison. And the covenant is tied to the beaver. And the beaver is tied to the penis. And it's tied to the yin-yang principle. And this is why the story of the sons of God mating with the women is playing out here. The only card in the tarot that has a church on it, and it's tied to the largest organization of religion in the world. Yeah, sure. But we're just grasping at straws. We're really trying to fit things here. No, this is the divine comedy. Trying to get you to laugh, because what else are we going to do with this? Folks, I'm telling you, this is it, man. John is the Baptist who baptized Jesus in water. Water is Poseidon. Water is the water breaking for women. And then it leads back to the Venus flytrap. In the square root of 3 cipher, which is this. This is a huge cipher to use. This is the church's big logo. It should be the church's logo. It's the ichthys, the mitre hat. Well, there it is. It's the Venus flytrap. This is a carnivorous plant. It consumes just like Venus consumes. 20 is tied to duality. So Venus flytrap connects to the rosary beads, and we know Jesus is the bright morning star. So when you connect this to this, the 6 large beads and the 53 smaller beads, and I already know Jesus is Venus, and that connects to the 59. Folks, this is not trying to fit anything. This is smashing evidence. Huge layers of evidence to show you that this religion is about reincarnation. That's why eternal life is offered. Here are the big names in the New Testament. The very first chapter and verse of the New Testament, from the Greek now, the original language. Abraham, David, Jesus Christos. Jesus Christ, David, Abraham. 277 is the 59th prime number. How do you get all these offsprings? Venus, love, people humping with the Venus and the penis. This is the vagina. The matrix, spitting souls out into the matrix. By doing the rituals and everything else that's tied to this. If you go all the way back to the original Abraham, you see it has the word Ra in it. That is a match to the 41, to Elohim. Elohim is let us make man in our image. This is Genesis 1 verses 1. The Yod is nowhere on the scene just yet. 41. 41, man. Religion is tied to this right here, folks. The beast system. That's what it's tied to. My final answer. Beast system. There is no rejoicing. There is no, it's going to save it. No. There's reincarnation. You're going to get put right back into duality again. This organization will put you right back into duality again. That's why it's too good to be true. The story is bulletproof in so many ways. When you have the eyes to see it, you know what it means. You know what it means, man. These numbers from the original language in mathematics, the original language of the originations of these things. That's how big that the Vatican City sits at 41 degrees latitude. You think they're actually Christian based? No, they're Jewish based. This is just the front. Doesn't matter. That's not a bad thing. Christianity is just Judaism repackaged in a different way. That's all it is. Here are other layers. Here's the Abraham. Here's Rakim, the matrix. Exodus 13 verses 12, Elohim. Vatican City sits at 41 degrees north latitude. You don't think they know this? So let's continue with this. Going to go back to this. Penis, vagina, the beaver and the mountain lion. Now you know what your adversary is. Sex drive, desire. It's not just sex, it's the desire. It's wanting things. When you go into the tarot, because it's the 22nd card is the 9 of clubs. And the vagina is the 4 of clubs. This is the comedy in this, folks. Right? The penis is the 9 of clubs. And this is the card of, this is recycle. Recycle is 22. The penis gets recycled over. That's why it's Occupy Mars and why it's a patriarchal. This is the Virgin Mary. Earth is 17. Earth is feminine. The vagina is feminine. This is the happy home. This is the casino. This is the house always wins card. Well, then the funny thing about this, going back to my scripted reality 23, this being the penis, it ties to this right here. This is how scripted our reality is. Pfizer releases sildenafil citrate, aka Viagra, on March 27th. March 27th, playing card, the 9 of clubs, card 22. The penis. Now, I don't know, man. Is Pfizer sitting down with Chaldean numerology, and that's why they put it out on this date? I mean, look at the divine comedy in this. In this case, what's wounded? Well, Mr. Winky's wounded, of course. The Einhorn is wounded. The Stinkhorn is wounded here. And you want to get some. What is the purpose of this pill, honestly? Like, what is the very reason this pill came out? Think about it with logic and discernment. Now, I know there is a shitload of money in this pharmaceutical. So obviously, money is a contributing factor. But what's the bigger message here? Why was this pill created? It wasn't originally for blood flow. But think about it, folks. If you're the divine and you need players on the board because they're energy, creating energy to feed off of, if that's the way it works, to use energy, to use characters, well, you need to keep it going, right? And in this time of being in the dark age, you're farthest away from source. Not everything's not working correctly. There are people abusing certain things, health and heart conditions. You have blood flow issues. So what better way to keep the players coming back than to take that little blue pill? And why is it blue? Why would this be blue? Why would you not make it yellow or red or green? Why is it blue? Why not white? See, this are the things that we look at here. But I'm telling you, folks, this is the divine comedy. This tied to Viagra, yeah, the penis is wounded. I want to get it up. I want to make a lucky lady happy. Some of you ladies are going to get pretty lucky tonight because your man's going to take one of those blue pills. And this is the card of recycle. That's the bigger message for me here. It's not about the money per se. It is about the money, but it's about keeping people engaged in sex. It's not about fornication or adultery per se. It's about being able to make women get pregnant. That's what this whole thing's about. The whole agenda is about. And this is how I know this to be true. The molar mass of sildenafil citrate, here it is 474.58. And we've done this before. It's carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. And I want to get a tarot card. So I just take the 78 total cards of the tarot, subtract until we get to 78 or below, and look at what card it comes to. I mean, come on, man. The title of the card and the molar mass of sildenafil citrate is the Lover's card? What would the odds be? One digit off, ladies and gentlemen, it would have been something different. If it would have been 476, 481, it would have been different. Nope. It's 474. And if you do it through the cards of illumination, you do the 52, you're going to get the 6 of hearts, which is card 42 in the tarot, which is reincarnation. Go do it. Take 474 and subtract 52 until you get to 52 or below. You got to do it 9 times. Go do it yourself and you'll get the number 6. And 6 is this. And the word, the number 6 is tied to this word right here. Baby. The baby is tied to this card right here, and this card through the tarot is this card. And this is the generations of Jesus Christ. 42 generations. 42 is tied to reincarnation. That is why, ladies, the bigger message that I see here is, yes, this company created this for money. Yes. But the divine message is, I need to keep this procreation going. I need to squeeze every drop I can. Do you know how many babies have been created because of this pill? Whereas if this pill wasn't introduced into the world, there would be a lot less humans running around because some guys just can't get it up, so they can't have sex. There would be a lot less human beings running around if it wasn't for this pill. But that's the way our orchestration works. This is the divine comedy. I hope you can see this. So you have the Wounded Warrior here and the Lover's card here based on sildenafil citrate. Not a coincidence and not orchestrated and planned this way. They're not creating these compounds because this wasn't even created for erectile dysfunction. They weren't doing this formula before creating this, and you need to have this chemical formula exactly this way in order for this thing to work and have blood flow get increased. This is divine orchestration. I'm telling you, that's the comedy in this. So I'm going to go back up here to finish this off. These two, the 9 of clubs, the 9 of wands, tied to the penis, tied to the beaver, the master builder, the penis releasing the semen, being able to impregnate and fertilize the egg to create another player on the board. This is the card of the 4 of clubs, which is card 17. This is card 26. And I decided to create, for fun, my own cards to kind of get you a chuckle here. That the 9 penises and the 4 penises, it's the 9 of clubs and the 4 of clubs. The 9 of wands and the 4 of wands becomes the 9 of penises and the 4 of penises, surrounded by penises. So this is from this. And this becomes this guy. Surrounded by dicks. You gotta laugh at this stuff, man. Mars and Venus. The adversary. Sex. Procreation. That's how kind of how funny this is. Even this guy right here. This is the guy who was credited for the common stinkhorn, for classifying it. Carl. And look at what his birthday is. Go look this up. He's the Italian naturalist. I mean, not the Italian, that's Ulysses. He is the biologist. He's the father of modern taxonomy. He gets credit for the classification of this genus, of the fungi. And his birthday on the 23rd of May. Guess what the 23rd of May card is? That's right. The 9 penis card. The card of Viagra. Viagra gets released with the 9 of clubs card, which is the wounded warrior. This man describes the penis in nature. And he has the penis card. The card of recycle. This is the 22nd card in the cards of illumination. This is card number 31. But it comes from the 9 of clubs, and the 9 of clubs is card 22. Go into the cards. There it is. Card 22. Are you seeing this? This guy gets credited for naming the damn fungi, and he's got the 22nd card in the deck, which is recycle and penis. Come on, man. So that leads right into and goes right back to the penis chromosome. Remember this. This is the Christ chromosome. This is the Y chromosome. The I. I am. I am that I am. Why is God always linked to male? Why is God always male? Well, now you know the reason why. It's the male chasing the female. Why does Adam chase after Eve? Testosterone. So because this guy's name is Carl, I was like, what other Carl popped into my head? You ready for the ending of this? So the last topic. Yes, Carl. Yes, Carl. Carl. You remember this movie? Yes, Man. Here is Terrence Stamp. And I got a decode coming out on this for the Adjustment Bureau. Yeah, telling you that you don't have free will. But anyway, Terrence Stamp shoving... And this is the comedy, right? Like this scene. What is he holding in his hand, folks? Come on. He's holding in his hand a phallus. It's called a microphone. And you know what he says? He tells Jim Carrey, "You're dead, Carl. You keep saying no to life. You're dead." And he's at this Yes conference. And wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it, as fate would have it, of course, the movie comes out on December 9th, which is the 9 of clubs. Let's just go to the chart. Here's December, and here is the 9th, right there. The 9 of clubs. Card number 22. Tied to penis, tied to recycle. Tied to penis and recycle. And he's got a penis in his hand. It's called a microphone, but it looks like a phallus. Mars. Mars is your drive, determination. Mars is yes. You start saying yes to everything, and what happens? It's a great movie. I decoded this. It's Yeshua Man. It's Jesus Man. What happens to Jim Carrey in this movie? He becomes friends with all these people. All these extraordinary things happen. He talks somebody off the ledge. He has all these things happen to him in life. Life becomes amazing. So yeah, there's this paradox in life, because when you start saying yes to life, yeah, I'll go on a date. Yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, I'll do this. There's more opportunities for sure. And the beautification of this, of saying yes instead of saying no, allows you to be, and you see that, look at what his arms are like. This. It's this. Because that's why Jesus offers you eternal life. Eternal life means reincarnation, recycle, redo, replenish the earth. When you say yes to life, you open yourself up to possibly creating another baby, creating another offspring. And if it's not going to be a baby, if you're done doing that, are you still creating life? Yes, because maybe you're creating a company, and the company, you're going to have to hire people, and those people, they're going to make babies. So indirectly, you opening up a company, you treating clients, you working with clients, you working for a company, that makes the company grow. And what happens with growth? They hire new people. And when new people get hired, they start to generate money. And what happens when they generate money? They may hump and have babies. Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. This is the beast, folks. Yes is the beast. It's the chromosomes tied to procreation. That's what this whole thing means. You see the why there? Yeshua, man. Recycle. Even the numerology of yes, man is 22. December 9th, 2008 is 22. This is about recycling. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that's what this is. The Y chromosome. The Y chromosome. Tied to the penis. Tied to the vagina. Start saying yes to everything. You'll have more opportunities come your way. And then can you say no? According here, he's like, you're not supposed to say no. Recycle. So for fun, like we've done in so many other ways, you can spell words out on the periodic table. You can spell out the word yes. You can spell out the word no, nitrogen and oxygen. Yes. And when you add up the molar mass of this, you're going to get out your calculators. You're going to get pi. You're going to get a permutation of pi 341. And how do I get to the titanium? You take the 341 and you subtract the total amount of elements, the 294 from the 118. Again, if you get above the 294, like the last element on the periodic table is the oganesson. It has a weight of 294. Can't go beyond that. So if you get a higher number than 294, you take the 294 and you use it as the subtracting factor. So you get 341, you subtract 294, you're going to get 47. And it not only goes back to that 22 and recycle, because when you say yes to life, you say yes to recycling. You're part of the recycling, and it is inevitable for all of us to be part of that. When you say yes to things, the more this is the aspect of Buddha, right? Buddha says the root of all suffering is attachment, expectations. Every time you say yes to something in life, you attach, you become a slave to it. You got to spend more money. You have to spend more time. So as much of a blessing as yes is, and this is why this movie's so amazing, and it's a paradox. It will trap you. And why isn't it a woman playing this? Remember, the reason why he says no to life, because his wife leaves him. He's heartbroken. She's like, I don't want to do it anymore. Nope. And then he gets talked out of it by going to the yes conference. And there's beautification in it. Let's keep going. Here it is. Just so you can be assured here. I'm not trying to do any, bedazzle you. But yes, man is Emmanuel. I mean, this is Jupiter. Jupiter is 99 in the English. That's why Einstein was the dog in Back to the Future. This is Emmanuel, man. This is Isaiah 7 verses 14. This is the first time Jesus gets talked about. And you can see that yttrium and einsteinium matches that, 62. And then when you do it through the English, it goes right back to Venus, the bright morning star. Jesus saying, I am the bright morning star. Yeah, you're yes. Say yeah, Yeshua, man, this. Jim Carrey is JC, the initials, Jesus Christ. Scripted for this guy. He has the 36 card in the deck. He was born on January 17th. Jesus Christ is 36. I could go on and on with Jim Carrey, plays in the Truman Show, telling you you're in a movie. There it is, Jesus, Revelation 22, the 9 of clubs card, recycle, the bright morning star. I'm telling you, folks, this is it. There's the 22. I am the root and offspring. Yes, man. Yeshua, man. Right there. There's the cross. You can't miss it. Why is he a male? Why is it this is the interesting part. I have a question. Why is the greatest story in religion, why wasn't it a female? Why did it have to be a guy? You know, like, have you ever thought about that? Why couldn't the story of the Savior, why couldn't it have been a female? Why couldn't it have been a woman saving the world? Why does it have to be a dude? Why does God have to be a dude? Where's the female in this? Go into the Bible, man. The women are like, they're shunned. Why? When you're 50% of creation, and women have more than that because you got to make the baby. Why is it always this male figure? Why is it the penis that's glorified? When to me, the women have all the power, not the dudes, right? But why is Jesus? Why couldn't Jesus be a female? Why is God a male? Why is it he? Why is it the father and not the mother? What's going on? Well, I mean, the Catholic Church does talk about the Queen of Heaven, the Great Mother, the Virgin Mary. That's revered in the church, so that's a plus. But why couldn't this have been a female in this story? Why was it a male? These are the things that I question. Well, obviously, it was a female because the bright morning star is Venus. And that's why this guy had a lot of feminine traits. This is an androgynous being. I wouldn't be surprised if this was an that word I'm looking for. Male, female. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a real dude. Masculine and feminine. But anyway, it's Venus, man. We know Jesus is the bright morning star. And it wants you to say yes to everything. And this is the Y chromosome. And the Y chromosome is right there on that cross. And the Y chromosome is subtly right there in the movie. And the Y chromosome determines the sex, which is created by the penis and vagina. And so now you know, through all the comedy in this, the penis beast decoded. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what I got. Another long one. The last 4 or 5 decodes I've done, they've been over an hour long. I'm sure that's how long this one is. I haven't been keeping track, but I'm sure this one's going to be over an hour or close to it. But anyway, would love to hear your thoughts. I got to do another one on the Venus flytrap and the vagina. I got to do another one on that one. Maybe I'll keep going with this. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.